GS's next maintenance was announced. This maintenance has caught me a little bit off guard because I thought this was just going to be Mines and Ghidorah getting an event and then, you know, a new banner. But the new banner that they did, I'm actually shocked who's actually on it. So the one tied to King Ghidorah is not a new unit, but it's going to be Arcana. And Arcana, how you want to say his name, is a unique choice to say the least to be tied to King Ghidorah, but I guess this is more so because mines are coming back. But the two other units, I'm quite surprised that they're releasing them, especially one. So the other one is Awoken Sarah. I think she is brand new. I don't think we've got her yet on global. I remember seeing her in the Japanese version of her she first came out. I don't think she's anything too crazy, but a part of me feels like we have got her on global already, but also a part of me feels like this is the first time we've ever seen her on global. I think Sarah, she's also from the mines, right? If I'm mistaken, I think she's Arcana's assistant. And we'll talk more about her kit in just a second after we talk about the next unit, which is Batiste is releasing, which if you can recognize his clothing, I don't want to jump the gun yet here, but this is another unit from Commander Forte's side stories. And there is no announcement, at least at the time of recording this, of them continuing this saga on global yet. And Batiste, I feel like, is a pretty hype character for some people. I don't think he's as hype as someone like Dark Haruto, but Awoken Batiste, some people would probably want to get the entire set of these guys because I think he's the last one. I could be wrong, there could be another one coming out too, but I think he's one of the last dark units to come out of this. So both of these units are releasing with King Ghidorah and Arcana plus Mines and the new King Ghidorah event, which we haven't even seen if we're going to be getting like a free summon stone for that one as well, because we got a free summon stone with Godzilla, so we may be getting a free summon stone with King Ghidorah's event. We don't know yet, we'll have to see, but there's no information currently in game about King Ghidorah's event or anything else to do with the banner apart from it's come with Batiste, Sarah, and we got Arcana and Ghidorah on the same banner. Not only this, with the release of Batiste and Sarah, we'll also be getting another Great Awakening banner with Batiste's 2 true weapons and Sarah's 1 true weapon. Now, before we go any further, let's just go ahead and talk about these 2 units real quick. They're coming out. I'm actually surprised they're releasing 2 new units, but I guess to an extent, this is the exact same thing that happened with the other banner. Awoken Sarah. Her skill alternates between increasing your ally's art gauge and then increasing your ally's HP or recovering your ally's HP every time you use it, so it's kind of a cool mechanic. Her art reduces the enemy's stats element resistance by 50% for 20 seconds. And the true art is a 32,000% light damage magic. You're going to be reducing the enemy's evasion rate and magic resistance by 40%, so that is actually pretty good if you're lacking in accuracy equipped items and stuff. Reducing the enemy's evasion is another way to counteract, you know, needing accuracy. As for her abilities, her first ability is magic damage resistance level 2, which just gives you magic damage from enemy 10% down. Her second ability is Magistone Researcher. This doubles the true art effect to enemies with stats elements and all allies max HP 5% up. And then we have Batiste, which is he's something alright, he's pretty crazy. His skill reduces the enemy's evasion rate by 10% for 5 seconds. His art reduces the enemy's dark resist by 15%, and this is able to stack. And then his true art is increase attack by 100%. You ignore the enemy's defense by 100% for 12 seconds. And then when his 0 stacks are maxed, additional 30,000% to true art damage. The way how he gets said 0 stacks, he needs to activate his art every single time up to a maximum of 6 times, and he gets damage 40% up every single time he does it, which would equate to him getting 240% damage up, which is quite nasty. He has additional attack level 2, which gives him more damage during break, and eliminate level 4, which damage 40% up when enemy's HP is under 30%. And I think this even applies for bosses, so anybody under 40% HP, he's going to hit you 40% harder. So technically, if you have his 0 stacks all the way max plus his 40% damage up, that means you're going to be getting him 280% damage up. Now let's oh lord, we definitely want to talk about Batiste for a little bit, but let's go back to Sarah real quick and give her some spotlight before I just completely disregard her. Sarah, I think, is going to be kind of interesting, especially if you have a team that is centered around maybe somebody afflicting some type of stats element, like for example, poison, disease, something like that. Because if you're able to tie her with some type of stats afflictor, she's going to be actually, I want to say, pretty solid, because reducing that enemy's magic resist by 40%, well, actually no, it's going to be doubled if an enemy is under the effects of a stats element. Her true art will be doubled, so instead she'll be reducing the enemy's magic resist by whopping 80%, and she'll also be reducing the enemy's evasion rate by 40%. I also said too that you need a status element inflictor, but technically you don't. You just need to use some type of equipment that inflicts a status element, so whether that be poison, disease, freeze, who knows, just inflict some type of status on an enemy, and Sarah's gonna do complete work for you. That is going to be an absolute insane thing to work with if you're able to get that off. I can see some very extremely unique nuking comps coming from this girl, to be honest. Of course, I say nuking comps, but at the same time, if you really want to get her to go crazy, I feel like you're going to need to pop that normal arch, so you reduce all status element resistances, right? And then once you reduce all status element resistance, possibly popping something like some type of poison equip or something like that, get the poison to go off, and then boom, you get the chew art. That would be the most ideal way to do it, or having another unit on the team that is able to inflict poison, whether that be Pola or somebody else. Of course, you could use this with any unit, like for example, you could use her alongside Emilia, because Emilia actually activates freeze, and freeze is considered a status element, so whenever she reduces all enemy status elements by 50%, she should also reduce the enemy's freeze resistance by 50%. So definitely has some synergies. I'm going to be very curious what comes out of this unit, and if I pull her, I'm definitely going to be trying her out in different team setups and different comps and all that. I'm very curious about it. So with Batiste coming, I feel like this is going to spawn a very new, unique type of mono dark team that could revolve around just buffing the absolute living hell out of Batiste, and then once you do that, just let Batiste go crazy. Now, Batiste is very weird because of course you see him and you see his slots and you instantly think nuker, but the way how they did his skills and his true art and everything and his passive, it almost feels like that he's a ramping damage dealer and he's going to be wanting to go against, you know, the hardest content in the game. I don't know exactly if he's going to be able to do that perfectly, just because he gives no art gauge to his team. He gives no type of synergy to his team. He literally has a 4-star defense slot. That's like about the only team thing that he has. His physical slots are going to be definitely prioritized for him because you're going to be wanting to have his true weapons on him, which I'll talk about that in just a second. I think this guy is literally, you want all damage or you go home, you know what I'm saying? Which is so weird. I don't really like whenever they do characters like this, where they're all damage, but you give them ramping damage at the same time, because it kind of is like, you could kind of use them in those in-game fights because they're a ramping damage though, but at the same time, I don't know if I would really take Batiste into a fight, to be honest. Maybe I would, but it's going to be really hard to get this man going because he's going to have the same problem as Orvale. He's going to have the same problem as Shion, I think that's her name. He's gonna have the same problem as so many other damage dealers that's able to ramp, where they don't have any type of built-in art gauge, they don't have any type of archden from anyone else, and it's just not gonna work. And talking about true weapons, let's now talk about his true weapon. We could also talk about Sarah's true weapon as well. It's definitely gonna have some use. As you see here, you can just read it right off the bat. Autofills all allies art gauge by 3, and you increase light units damage by 30%. Definitely gonna have some use. Has a pretty okay cooldown at 40 seconds. It doesn't last too long, only about 10 seconds though, but you know, it's a decent item. Good AoE arched item if you need one. Now Baptiste's weapons, good lord, dude, they wanted to solidify. This guy is meant to do damage. So his first true weapon is True Night Jacket. Yes, I said first because he has 2. True Night Jacket is a 5000% dark damage physical. You increase dark damage by 50% for 8 seconds and increase art gauge by 30 for the first time only. Then with his specific passive Imperial Duty, he has, when equipped by Batiste, attack 40% up and autofills art gauge by 1, and the defense up when near death, which is whatever. But he's now going to be having 140% attack up if you're factoring in his true art buff, at the same time him having his True Night Jacket equipped. And then with his other weapon, True Night Edge, 6000% dark damage physical. If the user is dark, you reduce the enemy's physical resistance by 20% for 8 seconds. And then he has the Black Flash passive, which is tied specifically to him. When equipped by Batiste, damage 40% up and autofills art gauge by 1. So technically, if you factor in and eliminate passive, his 0 stacks plus this man is gonna have 320% damage up, and also autofilling your art gauge passively by 2 art gauge. If you factor in you're having both of these things equipped. So tons of damage up buffs, tons of attack up buffs. He is ignoring defense. Good lord, dude, this guy's gonna hit hard. There's no other way to put it. He's going to hit hard if you're able to stack it. But here's the challenge about him. You got to get that 0 stack maxed first. That's where you're going to see his big, huge damage numbers come out, which is also going to be a thing is, do you really need that much damage to kill anything in this game, right? Like, if you're going to be using him as a nuker more so, I don't think you're ever going to need that much damage. You don't even need to worry about ramping him up or anything. If you're going to be using him as like just a regular attacker, he can definitely do that, but dude, I don't know. He doesn't apply really any type of debuff to the enemy. He's not going to buff anybody's attack or anyone else's damage unless you're using other dark units, and then he synergizes with another dark unit. It's very weird for them to release a unit that ignores defense. The units that he's supposed to be technically used with, which would be Dark Cain, Dark Finn, and of course Commander Forte. It doesn't really work out too well because Commander Forte and Dark Finn both have tactics, and then also Forte has the crit damage up, which would make you think that, oh, okay, we want some type of crit on the team, which is usually why you run Lighter Bag or some other means of getting crit chance on the team. Then they release a unit like this where it's like, I guess this unit isn't meant to be run alongside them to an extent, because he's ignoring defense, so he's not going to benefit from those crit damage passives. So yeah, man, it's a lot of wild stuff. Both these units are units that are pretty interesting, and we'll definitely be having a shitty summon, but I really got to think about this over the next few days. Think about if, you know, it's actually worth it to go for these guys or not. If you guys used either one of them on JP, please tell me your experience with either of them down below in the comment section. I'll definitely be reading them. And yeah, that's gonna be it for this one. That's a crazy update notice already just from the maintenance, having Batiste and then also the true weapons. It's, oh man, dude, it's wild. So yeah, thank you all for coming out. It's Video Bro OP. If you're new to the channel or you enjoyed the video, please make sure you like and subscribe. And yeah, this is, oh lord, I'm in for a crazy week, aren't I? But thank you all for coming out, man. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe for more. And last but not least, don't forget to drink water.